Hello guys, Carolyn here. Today I am doing my weekly Let's Talk About video from my bedroom floor because I decided that this week I wanted to talk about how I downsized my collection. Now from this scene behind me, it doesn't look like I downsized, but towards the end of last year, I officially decided that I really wanted to downsize my collection and get rid of some albums and some groups that I had been collecting, just because I was collecting so many people and K-pop is so expensive that I just decided that I couldn't continue to collect every single person. So ever since I did that, I've gotten so many questions from you guys about like how I decided who to downsize, who I ended up downsizing, and I still get a lot of questions about that, so I thought that I would go ahead and tell you guys a little bit about that today. So basically last year, actually it's probably been a little over, it's been a while since I officially decided to downsize. I went and I looked at my shelves, which if you've seen one of my old shelf tours, I'm gonna film an updated one soon. I realized that I haven't done one in a long time. Yeah, I think it's been like 6 or 7 months or something since I've done one. So I'm gonna do an updated one because it doesn't even include this shelf in it. One night at like 1 a.m, because that is when I'm most productive for some reason, I went and I looked at all of my shelves and I just pulled off entire discographies and said, I'm just gonna take this group off and see how I feel. I didn't do a lot in this bedroom, so I have 3 shelves in this bedroom, including this little one. This is just like a mini shelf. And then I have 1 shelf in my other room. So it was mostly the shelf in my other room that I looked at discographies and I was like, I'm gonna take this off and I'm just gonna see how I feel. I'm gonna reorganize it so that like, you know, the shelf is without those things. Didn't really look at my old groups at all, to be honest, because I just knew I wanted to keep collecting. But there have been a couple of groups that when their comebacks had happened, more than like being excited for the music, I had been like, oh man, I have to buy another album. And so I don't want to feel that way about any of the groups that I stan. I love all of the groups that I stan. Even if I no longer collect them, I do enjoy their music. It was just too many groups for me personally. I just couldn't take as many groups as I personally had. And also, like, as you see behind me, I have a couple of like signed albums and like there's another signed album right here, like special things. Usually my 1-0 Polaroid from his fan sign is there, but I took it down because it's actually his birthday today, so I'm filming TikToks and Instagram posts and things, but usually that's there as well. And one thing I really wanted to do was I wanted to start delving deeper into like my top groups and be able to afford things for my top groups as opposed to buying the basics for everybody, because I just didn't feel like that was fair, and I also just didn't want to spend my money in that way. So it really came down to like how I wanted to spend my money on K-pop. So I went through and I was like, anyone who I haven't purchased their comeback album yet, because I've just been like, oh, I don't know, whatever, or anyone that I just hadn't had a comeback in a long time and wasn't interested in keeping their collection for like nostalgic reasons. There are some groups that are no longer active that I do have like discographies for still. There's other groups and I'm like, I know they're never gonna make a comeback and I just don't want to keep their discography. Like, that's just the way it is. I don't look at these albums. I don't flip through the photo books ever. I don't, you know, I was gonna say I do most of my streaming on Spotify, but today it's currently March 1st in Korea, so like it's Wano's birthday. But also Spotify just took down everybody who is under Kakao M. So like a lot of the music I listen to is gone. So my timeline is kind of on fire right now, but I do listen to a lot of music on like Spotify and whoever else I'm gonna replace Spotify with now that I can't listen to a lot of the music I like on Spotify. If I haven't purchased their album in a while or they haven't made a comeback in a while, I'm just gonna take the discography off and I'm just gonna put it, there's a guest room attached to my bedroom where my other shelf is. So I was like, I'm just gonna put the albums on the guest room bed and I'm just gonna leave them there for like a week. And I'm gonna look at my collection without them and I'm gonna think about this because I'm someone who, like, you know, some of the groups that I'm selling have really hard albums to get back, and so it wasn't a matter of like, oh, I can always just buy back their discography if I regret it. It was like, this is gonna be kind of difficult to get back if I decide to sell it. So after that time passed, I was like actually really happy with how my shelves looked. I was like, oh my gosh, everything feels so good. Like, I'm super happy, you know. I try not to have like super sentimental connections to my albums. Like there's a couple from like old groups that I have sentimental connections to, but a lot of the K-pop albums I collect, I don't have an emotional connection to most of them, and so that's just that. Like I just don't have an emotional connection to them. So that I think is really helpful. And then now I have all those albums kind of like sitting in a spot in my guest room, like waiting to be sold. Took time off for midterms, but I'm gonna start posting all the albums for sale again. And also when I sell an album, it's like a great feeling. Like it's a super good feeling. I feel so good about it. Like seeing the piles of albums in my guest room right now stress me out. And so every time I sell an album, I'm like so excited. So really it was just a matter of like, I used like the, what's it called? The Does It Spark Joy? Marie Kondo, that's what it's called. I use like the Marie Kondo method where 1 a.m. I was like, does this spark joy? Do I want to keep buying this group's albums, or am I happy listening to their music on Spotify? Like something like that. So yeah, I just felt I kind of already had like a mental list in my head of like who I was still collecting and who I wasn't really sure I wanted to keep collecting. There's also a couple groups still now that I'm starting to get that feeling with, like, I don't know if I really want to keep collecting this group. There's 3 collections I have. One of them I'm definitely going to be getting rid of, I've decided. I just haven't like posted about it anywhere yet. They're an older group that, and then there's 2 groups that are like still pretty active that I just don't have motivation to finish their collections, and so I just don't want to collect their albums anymore. I know that there's a lot of collectors in the community that are downsizing their collections right now, and I honestly think it's just because K-pop has gotten so expensive. Purchasing albums and shipping them from Korea has become much more expensive. I just bought my ATEEZ albums this morning for their comeback, and my gosh, it was so expensive. Like those albums are heavy, and I just bought 15 Wano albums. And honestly, since I downsized, I've done things like I've entered fan signs. Like I have a Minhyuk fan sign there. I have a Wano fan sign on the shelf above me. I have bought more promo albums and broadcast cards and things like that, and collected my top groups a little more thoroughly and gone outside of album PCs for some groups, and it's just felt really good. Like I'm just very happy with this decision. I know that a lot of people have expressed that they're very unhappy that I have decided to stop collecting some groups. Maybe I will also go through who I'm still collecting in this video. A lot of people have felt very upset at me for stopping collections, and I do want to say that I'm sorry that I upset you, but at the same time, this is my collection, it is my money. If you would like to send me money to fund a collection for me, let me know. I'll get you my Venmo, I'll get you my PayPal. But if you're not, then you know, there's so many K-pop YouTubers on this platform that I feel like there is like a K-pop YouTuber for every group at this point. A lot of people who collect groups that I don't collect, or the way that I collect. So should we go over who I'm still collecting? Let's do it. So this is who I'm still collecting. Like I said, I'm debating a couple of groups. I will be listing those groups, but not identifying which groups I'm considering not collecting anymore, just because I haven't made a decision yet and I just don't feel like I need to announce it yet. So obviously I'm collecting Super Junior, Infinite, Monsta X, Treasure, and A-Pink. They are my ultimate groups, so I do not have any, they're not going anywhere, so do not worry about that. I also still collect BTS. I love collecting BTS. I just bought their new album the other day, the Essential version, and so keeping that collection. I will be continuing to collect Super M. Obviously, they are here. I do want to keep collecting Super M. I really like collecting them. I do have an IZ*ONE collection back here and a SHINee collection over here, so they are staying. They're not going anywhere. Behind me down here, I have a 17 collection, so there's that. ITZY is still here. Obviously, we already talked about Treasure. Stray Kids is down there. And then in my other room, I have Luna, Golden Child, Lovelyz, Stacy. I bought their first single album. I don't like collect Stacy, but I might, I wanted their album. Also Red Velvet is right there. I'm staring at them. I have to think about this. Let me go look in the other room, hold on. So in the other room we have Luna, Golden Child, NCT, ATEEZ, SF9, Twice, and I think that's everybody. Jaehwan's in there too. Pretty sure that's everybody. So that is everybody that I'm continuing to collect. So if that group that I used to collect is not on that list, then that means that at some point or another they're going to show up in my Twitter sale, Instagram. So yes, that's everybody, I think. And that's still a lot of groups. I feel like I still collect a lot of groups. Like I said, there's like 2 groups in that list that I'm still debating about, but for right now, that is the list of who I collect. Again, like I said, if I am not collecting your favorite group anymore, I really apologize, but it's just what I had to do for my collection. I'm also moving in like 4 months, something like that, and so wasn't going to take all my albums with me originally, and I still probably won't, but my parents are planning on moving out of this house, and so I'm moving out, and so I was gonna just leave some albums here and then like move them later. Like, I don't plan on living by my school forever, but I think I am going to have to take all of them eventually. So that is it for this video, I think. I hope this was helpful. I hope that it kind of gave you a little insight into my collection. If a K-pop YouTuber decides to stop collecting a group, that does not mean they don't like them. That does not mean that they don't stan anymore. You can stan without buying albums. There are a lot of groups and artists that I like that I don't collect, that I just listen to digitally and support digitally by watching their music videos, listening to them on platforms like Spotify before they deleted all of the K-pop off of Spotify. And yeah, so that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you'd like me to talk about in next week's Let's Talk About video, and I will see you guys very, very soon. My knuckle just cracked really loud. I'm sorry about that. I'll see you very, very soon. Bye.